Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of No Set Path. I'm your host, Drew English. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different, experimental, raw, whatever you want to call it. If you don't know, this podcast has a sister newsletter also called No Set Path. And something I'm trying to lean into and embrace a little bit more is building up the ecosystem or the brand around the idea of No Set Path, talking about leverage for creatives, right? Building assets and businesses that work for you, that integrate well into your life, that aren't gatekept, that play by your own rules, however you want to frame it, right? I want to talk about how you can kind of eschew the traditional route and build something for yourself that's sustainable and really means something to you at your core. Okay, so I was having coffee with one of the past guests on the show, Blake File, and we were chatting about what this thing could be, and you'll hear it here. And he said, why don't you just read your newsletter for an episode and you can add some commentary to what you've written? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the last issue that I put out on Substack, and I'm going to add some color, some commentary to it to kind of expand on some of the thoughts. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who knows? This will be warts and all, but I wanted to try it, and hopefully you listening out there or watching appreciate it. So this last one was called Start Valuing Your Mess on Rough Edges, Connection, and Building Without Having It All Figured Out. And that's kind of at the crux of what No Set Path is. So here we go. I've been in a pretty confused state lately. I want to do more with No Set Path, but haven't really been sure what the next step is. The newsletter feels like one thing, the podcast feels like another. How do I make them work together in a way that feels natural instead of forced? I expressed this to a friend of mine over coffee, and he came back with this. I think it, meaning No Set Path, knows what it is, but you're trying to find it. And I sat with that for a second. Actually, spoiler alert, I'm still sitting with it. I've been trying to nail down something that maybe needs to stay loose and slightly unrefined, trying to figure out the right way to present myself, the right way to connect these pieces, the exact formula to build this thing. But what if there isn't a right way? What if the mess is the way? Okay, that's the intro, and it kind of wraps up with this riff on the title, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, a book I really enjoy and I got a lot out of. So this is kind of setting the whole idea up and what I talked about in the intro, right? I myself am trying to figure this all out in real time. I don't have all the answers, and I'm trying to do a lot. And what I'm starting to realize is as I go along, I'm wanting to like bring all these ideas together. I feel like there's pieces that are disparate, and I'm trying to like make them all mesh. And in my mind, I'm trying to make them all these perfect fitting puzzle pieces. And kind of where I'm getting to is that maybe people don't want that. Maybe embracing the mess is actually what benefits others. So, so if you just share more of what's going on with you, more of your journey, more of your story, raw and unfiltered, people are going to benefit from it more. Okay. The next section, people crave messy. So I've been noticing something lately, both in my own work and in conversations with creators trying to build something of their own. People want the unfiltered stuff. See, like I just said, people want the unfiltered stuff. Not polished, not perfect, not the I've got it all figured out content that's everywhere. They want messy. AI can make things perfect now, maybe too perfect, sterile, impersonal, optimized to death. Video content used to be all about high production quality and cinematic storytelling. Now it's seemingly quantity over quality. Vertical iPhone videos are winning the attention race. But take a moment to think about what's actually valuable in the creative economy right now. High quality output and expertise used to be everything, and now they feel like commodities. When tools and knowledge are everywhere and accessible to everyone, when anyone can generate good enough content with the right prompt, what matters? Your unique perspective, your real experiences, your willingness to show the stumbles. The mess isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's what people are actually searching for. Okay, so let's go back and break that down a little bit. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I think we are living in a world where you can just prompt your way to perfection, sort of. This isn't a commentary on AI slop and what's genuine and what's not. I'm just saying that you can get to a refined result with whatever you're working on relatively quickly, much faster than you used to be able to, right? And I just feel like lately everything is just kind of optimized to death, like I say in the newsletter. Now, coming from a film and video background, I kind of got my start in the industry in the Vimeo days where there were things called staff picks and people would make these beautiful cinematic short films or short projects, post them on Vimeo, and then they would get boosted up by the staff and kind of pushed out to the masses. And Vimeo was a big platform for independent creators 10 or so years ago, maybe a little bit more. And their business model has shifted. They're not on the top of the heap anymore, as far as I'm concerned. And now what we have is a heavily reliant attention economy where everything lives on social. Filmic and cinematic things, sure, they still have their place. I truly believe that, but they're not as ubiquitous as they used to be. iPhone videos, vertical videos, social media content is winning the attention race. And I think that's worth noting, right? So what do you do when everything you've been striving for from a craft or a technical perspective, as so many people listening to this are like technical craftspeople, what do you do and how do you rise above to the top of the heap when everything feels like a commodity, when you can generate videos with AI now and clients maybe don't care as much about production value as they used to? Well, it's all about what makes you unique, your real lived experience, what you've learned out in the field or just going through life, and what you can bring to the table that make you uniquely you. And I've said this before on the podcast, I've said it before in newsletters, but I think going forward next year and into the future, what's really going to be able to become a leveraged asset for so many people who are used to just being freelancers for hire is what makes you uniquely you. And people want that, right? So moving on, my own messy experiment. Now, I say this all while finding it incredibly hard to practice myself. That is a true statement. It's easy to dish out advice, but not necessarily take your own. So I'm going to get really honest for a moment here. The last 6 months have been professionally messy in ways I didn't expect. Revenue has been inconsistent. My identity as a cinematographer feels like it's shifting under my feet. I'm not entirely sure where the film work ends and this new thing begins. Some days I wake up clear on the direction. Other days I'm questioning everything with no idea where I'm heading next. But something interesting happened when I started to put that raw material out there. I posted one of my first solo talking head videos on Instagram, just me thinking out loud about creative transitions. Nothing refined, no script, just thoughts I was working through as I went. I figured, why not? Not all too dissimilar from what I'm doing here in this episode. After that, a buddy of mine in the film business texted me. He said, "You popped into my mind, and it might sound cheesy, but please keep going with what you're building." Then, separately, an old friend from my music days emailed me to say he loved reading my newsletter. Now, these weren't responses to my best work. They were responses to my most real work. Every time I've put pieces of myself out there publicly, people notice. Not because it's perfect, but because it's present. Okay, so this section, this hits close to home for me. So I listed out some things about the last 6 months, revenue being inconsistent, feeling an identity shift, and not really sure where the film work ends and this new thing that I'm building here begins. So let's get a little real. When I say revenue's been inconsistent, it's been probably the worst year revenue-wise I've had in my entire freelance career. There are multiple reasons for that. I'm not blaming one thing, and I'm not victimizing myself either. Some of it is choices that I'm making in my own personal life, and some of it is industry stuff. I ran my numbers loosely not too long ago, and I will be making around half of what I made last year, which is kind of appalling, just given the state of everything. It's been a really rocky year for revenue based on how I've been making money traditionally. And that looks like a lot of things for a lot of different people. But for me, it's been traditional production work has really pulled back. It's retracted. It's been that way for a lot of people. I also don't live right in a major metropolitan area anymore. I live up in the Hudson Valley in New York. I'm connected to New York City. I go work there all the time. But I'm not, living in Brooklyn and can just hop on a train and go shoot a gig. Like, jobs require more planning and more intention from me. I'm also interested in different things. And also I have a family to take care of and life responsibility. And I'm getting older. My hustle isn't what it used to be. And all of that is fine. But all of that does contribute to, revenue shifting. My identity as a cinematographer feels like it's shifting. Okay. I used to want to be the biggest, best DP in the world. And I still love making beautiful, amazing images when I can, and I still love collaborating with people. But I found for me that if I wanted to get to the place I aspired to be, the amount of sacrifice that would need to go on in my life, and the amount of time I would be unavailable for my loved ones and just being around in general would be really limited. And I have friends who aren't really home a lot, and they travel and work all the time, and they have a wife and kids and all this stuff, and it takes its toll. And I feel my focus shifting. My identity for the last decade has been I am a cinematographer. I go to set and I film images, and that's what I get paid for. And now trying to work through in real time, like how I'm going to shift that and bring value in another way where maybe I can be home more and just earn money from a laptop, but still stay true to my creative roots. Like that's crazy to me to try and work through, but I'm doing it, baby steps, right? And I'm not entirely sure where the film work ends and this new thing begins. So, and that is speaking more to me bringing my own lived experience, like spending 10 years in a career track. Like that's not no time. That influences who you are as a person. And I don't want to pretend like that part of me has not happened. I've learned so much and met amazing people and like gained tons of skills, not only creatively, but also in business. And I'm trying to figure out like how that shift happens. Like, where does the film work end? Like, do I still call myself a DP or cinematographer? Am I a filmmaker? Like what actually am I? So this is some of the questioning that's going on right now. And I think that's totally fair. I recently, and I've run across quotes like this in the past, and I forget who originally coined it, but it's the idea of you are not your thoughts, right? So you can think through all these different things and all these different permutations and all these possibilities. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it defines you. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And to kind of wrap up the commentary on this section, I have a big fear of putting myself out there for lots of different reasons. Not so much because I'm not comfortable on camera on the microphone. That part I'm okay with once I work out the cobwebs. It's more about fear of being judged and what people are going to think. That is definitely not uncommon, but it's definitely a thing for me. For sure. I was able to like put some stuff out there. I posted some reels on Instagram, just started throwing stuff at the wall to see what stuck. And as soon as I started doing that, and I've been wildly inconsistent with it, but every time I do that, I get really great feedback from colleagues and people I know, and sometimes strangers, that they appreciate me putting myself out there and maybe saying things that they aren't willing to say or that they wish other people would talk about. I guess the proof is in the pudding, where it's like, if you're afraid, the fear is just there, maybe to tell you you're on the right track, or maybe to push you along, just kind of cajole you into pushing outside of your comfort zone. And that's what it is, really. It's being willing to get outside of your comfort zone. The next section is the fear versus the reality. Everyone's afraid of the same thing. If you show the rough edges, you lose whatever credibility you've built. When you scroll through your feed, everyone seems to have the answers. They're all crushing it. They're 10 steps ahead with a framework to sell you, morning routines that changed everything, or the exact blueprint for success. So we curate ourselves into perfection. We hide the behind-the-scenes struggle. We wait until we've figured it all out before we share anything. Ask me how I know. But I keep running into this paradox. The fear is losing credibility by showing the mess. The reality is gaining connection by embracing it. Yes, credibility might get someone to click, but connection, that's what gets somebody to stay, to engage, to actually care about what you're building. There's this gap between what we're afraid will happen and what actually happens. And that gap is where the opportunity lives, right? So this is just a continuation of the idea of embracing the fear. And instead of letting the fear stop you from doing something or taking a step, using the fear as a motivator. I always look at it like this. If I'm afraid or uncomfortable of something, and we're not talking like life or death fear here, we're just talking about, do I put something out on the internet or not, right? It's not, we're not curing cancer, okay? I look at it like this. If I'm afraid or uncomfortable about something, that means I'm moving in the right direction. It means that I'm challenging myself. I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, that maybe there's something waiting for me on the other side of that, all right? And this isn't a commentary on how you feel about social media or whatever. It is what it is, right? If you want to reach people, if you want to talk to new people, build an audience, whatever it is you're trying to do, social media is a vehicle to do that. All right. You can do it in whatever way makes you feel comfortable, or that you feel like you can, at least hit publish. We've all been there. I personally get really sad when I scroll through Instagram. I've been trying to like dial back how much time I spend there, because everything, it's been this way for years. This is nothing new, but everything just feels like, ugh, oh, look at this perfect life and look how much money this person's making and blah, 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 blah. And it's all kind of crap. Sure, there's people that are building like real amazing lives for themselves, but most of the people who are doing that, they're not spending time on social media telling you, look at me, look at me, look at me. They're doing it behind the scenes. So I find some more value in being like, hey, this is me. This is what's going on with me. Yeah, I didn't make a ton of money this year. Yeah, I have all this stuff shifting going on in the background, but I'm still showing up and I'm still sharing my story, because if it's happening to me, I guarantee it's happening to somebody else out there listening, right? So that's kind of the point. Embrace the fear, use it as a motivator, because if you've ever done this, I've done this a million times. It's like, I'm afraid to do something in my life, and then I actually go do it. And the other side is not so bad. I mean, honestly, the biggest one is having a kid. Like, I was not a hard pass on having kids, but I was like, the day I find out I'm having a kid, I'm going to freak out and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, it was the happiest day of my life. And, it's not easy. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done, being a father, but it's also the most rewarding. And the reality of being a dad is nowhere near what I thought it was actually going to be, what I was afraid of. So that's a really great and I think poignant example. Okay, the next section, where this is all going. Well, my friend was right. It, meaning No-Set Path, does know what it is. No-Set Path isn't meant to be perfectly curated. It's meant to be exactly what the name suggests, an exploration of building a creative life without a predetermined route, done in public to build community and connection. The stumbles aren't mistakes or missteps. They're proof the journey is real. So I'm choosing more of the imperfect, more real-time figuring it out, more vulnerability about the professional uncertainty, the revenue gaps, the identity shifts that come with building something new in your 40s, and more unrefined discovery with community. Not because messy is a strategy, though apparently it might be, but because it's the only honest way to do this. So let's unpack that a little bit. I think about how I interact with others online and the things I get benefit from. And when I see something authentic and real and somebody figuring things out as they go, and maybe I can message this person or comment on something they're doing and I'll get a real response from a real person, that has so much more inherent value than just like, oh, I built $1 million business. Here's how I did it. Here's my course, and here's my this, and here's my that. There is a place for online education, for courses, for all that kind of thing. But watching somebody go through things in real time and figure them out, being vulnerable about how they don't know the answer. Just today, there was something I was commenting on Substack where it was the idea of saying, I don't know to a client, and people saying that they were afraid to say, I don't know to a client. Well, this goes back to my days working customer service, basically, where I don't know is a really powerful statement to partner with somebody. You can always tell somebody, I don't know, but we can figure it out, or I can get the answer for you, right? So that being said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm getting my answers in real time. And I get so much value from people who are doing the same, because you can watch a journey, watch the missteps, see where they went wrong, maybe improve upon what they were doing, and maybe build something a little bit better for yourself. And, community is another big part of this too. Community, I think, is going to be so much bigger in the future than it is now. And it's already a big thing now. But I think finding your people, finding your tribe, whatever you want to call it, is really important. And I have people I've met in my, decade plus in the film industry that keep showing up for me, even if it's just like, hey, great episode, or, oh man, you're doing so good. Like, even those little interactions, I can tell you a handful of people specifically who they are that keep showing up and live in this No-Set Path community. And that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to build going into the future. So to wrap this all up, here's my challenge to you. What are you hiding because you think it'll cost you credibility? What stumble, struggle, or half-baked idea are you sitting on because it's not quote unquote ready yet? And what if the very thing you're afraid to show the world is exactly what someone else needs to see? The works in progress are more valuable than you think. They certainly have been for me. Now go do something with it. Okay, so let's use this call to action at the end here for a real time call to action for you who are listening or watching. I want to hear from you, okay? You can leave a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or better yet, just email me at nosetpathpodcast@gmail.com. It would be great to hear from you. What are you hiding because you think it'll cost you credibility? Like, what's stopping you from doing more? You've listened this far. Like, I've stumbled all over the place. I don't really know if this is working or not, but I'm trying it. I want to do more of these. It's good for me to kind of revisit some of these past writings and kind of riff on some ideas, and hopefully you're getting something out of it. What are you afraid to show the world? I'd love to know. I'd love to know what you're working on, what you're trying to put out in the world. Did this resonate with you? Is any of this helpful? Is it not? If not, what would be helpful? Like, get in touch. nosetpathpodcast@gmail.com. I want to do more of these. This is directly from my Substack newsletter, also called No Set Path. You can find it at thedrewenglish.substack.com. Come on over, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you. I'm doing more of these unpacks. I want to do more with the brand. I want to build this into something. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star review. That'd be awesome. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. All that stuff really helps boost up the video. And please get in touch. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.